What if everything you've ever struggled with, the guilt you carry, the voice that says you're not enough, the patterns you can't seem to break, what if none of it was really you? What if you've been living inside a story written long before you could speak, and you've just been acting it out line by line without ever realizing the script wasn't yours? Because maybe the pain you felt, the choices you've made, even the dreams you've abandoned aren't personal failures. Maybe they're echoes, ripples from actions and thoughts, long forgotten but still shaping your path. A karmic wind that's been pushing you in the same direction again and again. But what if that cycle, the loop of regret, reaction, and repetition, could be seen for what it really is? Not a punishment, not a destiny, but a pattern that can be broken, not through force, not through guilt, but through something far more powerful: awareness, compassion, and choice. Today, you're going to learn something most people never hear in their entire lives. You're going to learn how to see the prison, and then how to step out of it, not in theory, not as a belief, but in your own breath, in your own body, right now. So if you've ever wondered why you react the way you do, why you keep returning to the same thoughts, the same fears, the same doubts, stay with me. Because in this video, we're not just talking about karma, we're breaking it. And the door has always been open. Karma isn't a punishment, it's a pattern made of thoughts, habits, reactions, and beliefs, most of which were never truly yours to begin with. From the moment you were born, you began absorbing everything around you. The way your parents responded to stress, the way your culture defined success, the way the world told you who you had to be accepted, to be loved, to be safe. And without even realizing it, you started shaping yourself to fit that mold. Not because you were weak, but because you were human. You learned which parts of yourself to hide, which feelings to suppress, which dreams to ignore. You learned what was good, what was bad, and who you needed to become in order to survive. These were your first karmic seeds. And every time you acted from that learned identity, every time you reacted with fear instead of presence, every time you judged yourself through someone else's eyes, you watered those seeds. And they grew. They grew into habits. They grew into beliefs. They grew into a version of you that felt familiar, but never quite free. And here's the thing, most people never understand. Karma doesn't begin with some grand decision or dramatic mistake. It begins in the smallest moments. Moments when you believe the voice in your head that says, I'm not enough. Moments when you feel the impulse to pull away, to defend, to prove, to hide, and you listen to it again and again. Each repetition is a thread, and over time those threads weave a prison. Not made of steel, but made of assumptions. Assumptions about who you are, what you're capable of, and how life is supposed to be. This is the conditioned mind. It lives in loops. It feeds on repetition. It clings to the past and projects it into the future, leaving no space for the present to breathe. So how do you break free? Not by fighting the mind, not by judging the pattern, not by pretending you're already healed, but by doing something far more radical, by noticing. Because awareness, real, quiet, gentle awareness, is the only thing karma can't control. When you begin to notice your thoughts without following them, without becoming them, they lose their power. When you feel a familiar emotional wave rise up, anger, fear, jealousy, shame, and you just breathe with it, watch it, let it move through without acting on it, you break the loop. In that moment, you are not the karma. You're not the habit. You are the space around it, the witness. And the moment you begin to witness the pattern, you are no longer trapped inside it. Yes, the thoughts may still come. Yes, the emotions may still arise. But you are no longer reacting from compulsion. You are responding with choice. This is how new seeds are planted. Not through perfection, but through presence. Each time you meet a familiar thought with compassion instead of judgment, you change your trajectory. Each time you pause before reacting and choose kindness instead of defensiveness, you open a new path. And like all seeds, these new patterns take time, but they grow. They grow into moments of peace where there used to be chaos. They grow into clarity where there used to be confusion. They grow into a new identity, one that isn't built on fear, but on freedom. This is not spiritual theory. This is neurobiology. This is lived reality. And it starts not with some huge breakthrough, but with something simple. A breath, a pause, a choice to watch rather than react. Right now, you're not just listening to a video. You're waking up. You're remembering something deeper, something that was never broken, never trapped, never conditioned. You, the real you. The one watching all of this, the one who's always been there, behind every thought, behind every pattern, waiting patiently for you to see that the door was never locked and you've always had the key. Let's go a little deeper. Because once you begin to see the mind as a pattern machine, you start to realize that most of what you think isn't actually new, it's recycled. That voice in your head, the one that whispers doubts, that judges your every move, that tells you what you should be afraid of, it didn't start yesterday. It's old, very old. In fact, some of those thoughts aren't even yours. They were given to you, passed down, picked up, repeated so many times that they began to feel like truth, but they're not. They're karma, and karma works like this. You have a thought, maybe small, maybe unkind, maybe self-critical. You don't question it. You believe it, and then you act on it, you speak from it, you make decisions around it, and that act, that intention becomes a seed planted in the field of your awareness, a seed that ripens into a tendency. Next time a similar situation shows up, you're more likely to think the same thought again, react the same way again, feel the same emotion again, until it becomes automatic. And when it becomes automatic, it becomes invisible. And when it's invisible, you start calling it me. You don't even notice you're reacting. You don't even realize there's a choice. Because it all feels so familiar, so fast, so personal. But let's slow it down. Let's look at just one moment. You wake up in the morning, you feel a slight heaviness in your chest, a wave of anxiety. Your mind begins to race. I'm already behind. I don't have time. What if I mess up today? Those thoughts, they feel urgent, important. But what if they're not? What if they're echoes? What if they're karmic habits showing up again and again? Not because you're broken, but because you've practiced them without knowing. And just like anything else you've practiced, you've gotten really good at them, good at stress, good at worry, good at judging yourself before anyone else can. But here's the turning point. Just because a thought is familiar doesn't mean it's true. Just because a pattern is strong doesn't mean it's permanent. In fact, the moment you notice it, truly notice it, something shifts. Because the one who notices isn't the pattern. It's the presence behind the pattern. It's you. And that you, that silent witness, is not conditioned. It's not reactive. It doesn't cling to past or future. It simply sees. And in that seeing, healing begins. This is how we begin to break the cycle, not by escaping the mind, but by watching it, by observing the way it moves without needing to become it. The mind says, I'm not enough. You breathe, you notice, and instead of spiraling, you pause. And in that pause, you create space. Space is powerful. Space is where new choices live, where compassion can enter, where you remember you are not your history, you are not your habits, you are the field in which they arise, and the field is free. Now, this doesn't mean the thoughts stop, they won't. Not right away, maybe not ever completely, but their grip loosens, their urgency fades, they become like weather, passing clouds, waves on the surface, and below the waves there's something still, something silent, something steady. That's your true nature. And karma has no power there. So next time a reaction rises, pause. Don't rush, don't fight it, don't fix it, just breathe and witness. Because the moment you choose to observe, instead of obey, you're no longer running the old script. You're writing a new one. And that is the beginning of freedom. So now that you've seen the pattern, the loop of thought, reaction, repetition, what comes next, what do you do once you've noticed it? Here's the part most people forget or never learn at all. Awareness is the beginning. But intention, that's how you change the soil. Because every moment you observe a thought, you open space. And in that space, you get to plant something new, a new seed. Not a seed of fear, not a seed of judgment, but a conscious intention. This is the power of choice. And it lives in the now, not in your past, not in your story, not in who you think you are. Right now, in this breath, you can choose what kind of energy you want to grow. But don't try to change everything at once. Don't fight the old, just plant the new. You don't need 100 intentions. You only need one. One honest, loving, steady intention breathed into the body, held in the heart, felt in your presence. So let's say you choose compassion, not the idea of compassion, but the living energy of it. You take a deep breath. You feel the tightness in your chest. You see a self-critical thought rise like smoke. You don't argue with it. You don't analyze it. You just meet it with this new energy. You offer it compassion. And that offering, that one moment of meeting pain with gentleness, that is a karmic act. That is a new seed. Doesn't matter if it's small. All seeds are small, but they grow. And the more you do this, the more often you pause and return to your intention, the stronger that seed becomes. One day, that compassion becomes automatic, not forced, not remembered, but natural. And suddenly, where you used to react with anger, you respond with care. Where you used to judge, you listen. Where you used to feel shame, you feel a quiet, grounded love. And here's something beautiful. You don't have to wait for the old patterns to disappear before you plant new ones. You can do both. You can watch the old arise, the fear, the jealousy, the anxiety, and still choose to breathe differently. Still choose to respond with kindness. Still choose to water the seed that leads you toward freedom. Because karma is not fixed. It's fluid, it's responsive, it's shaped by your presence, by your actions, by the energy you bring to this moment. And this is why intention matters. Not as a rule, not as a spiritual to-do list, but as a compass, a quiet, steady direction you return to each time you get lost in the noise. You wake up feeling tired, you return to compassion, you get criticized, you return to compassion, you feel shame rise like a storm, you return to compassion over and over again, until one day you realize you don't have to try so hard because the seed has taken root and now it grows on its own. It's not about pretending, it's not about suppressing, it's about planting and trusting. Trusting that this breath matters, that this moment counts, that the way you show up, the energy you carry, the attention you give, it changes everything. This is karma in reverse. You are no longer being shaped unconsciously. You are shaping the path with awareness. And that doesn't just change your mind, it changes your life. Because when you stop acting from the old script and begin to speak, breathe, and feel from the new one, you don't just shift your own energy, you shift the field around you. Other people feel it. Life responds to it. Your relationships soften. Your body heals. Your dreams feel more reachable. Not because the world changed, but because you did. One breath at a time. So don't wait to be ready. Don't wait until you feel healed. Don't wait until the fear is gone. Start now, right now. Choose one seed. Kindness, patience, stillness, joy, truth, compassion, and breathe it in. Feel it in your chest. Speak it silently to yourself. And when the old habit knocks on the door again, because it will just smile. You don't live there anymore. You're planting something new and it's already starting to grow. There's one more shift and it may be the most important of all. It's not just about watching the thoughts. It's not just about planting new intentions. It's about seeing clearly that you are not the content of your mind. You are the space it moves through. Because no matter how many times a thought arises, it always passes. No matter how heavy an emotion feels, it eventually fades. No matter how strong a reaction seems, it never lasts forever. So how can you be something that changes? You can't. Because the real you, the one that's been quietly watching since the beginning, doesn't come and go. It doesn't panic. It doesn't cling. It doesn't judge. It simply is. And this is the part of you that karma can't touch. Because it's not made of stories. It's not built on memory. It's not defined by name, role, success, failure, or identity. It is awareness itself. Pure, open, infinite, silent, always here. Even when you forget, even when you fall back into patterns, even when you believe the noise, stillness doesn't leave. It just waits. And this is the freedom you've been searching for. Not in becoming someone better, not in fixing the past, but in remembering that who you truly are was never broken in the first place. This realization is not something you need to force. It's something you recognize. Like waking up from a dream. Because for so long you've believed the dream, you believed you were the voice in your head, you believed you were the tension in your body, you've believed you were the karmic story playing out in your life. But you're not. You're the one watching it unfold. And the moment you stop trying to control the waves and start resting as the ocean, everything changes. Even the storms feel different. Because now you're not inside them, you're holding them, you're allowing them, you're letting life move through you without getting lost in it. This is not detachment, it's intimacy. The deepest kind, because when you stop clinging to identity, you become more present, not less, more compassionate, not colder. You start to listen without defense, feel without collapse, speak without control, love without fear. Because there's nothing left to protect, nothing left to prove, nothing left to become. You're already whole. This is why we meditate, not to escape life, but to return to the truth that holds it. This is why we pause, why we breathe, why we observe. Because every time you rest as awareness, you dissolve another layer of conditioning. And in that soft undoing, you begin to live differently. Not just when you're sitting in stillness, but in the chaos of your day, in traffic, in conflict, in failure, in joy. You carry that presence with you. And slowly, the karmic patterns lose their grip. You see the story, but you don't get pulled in. You hear the thought, but you don't believe it. You feel the fear, but you don't run from it. You're here, you're breathing, you're steady. And this steadiness, this knowing, it becomes your new home. Not because you built it, but because you remembered it was always here. So if you take one thing from this, let it be this. You are not the echo. You are not the reaction. You are not the karma. You are the sky it passes through, the space it dances in, the stillness that never leaves. You don't have to change your whole life today. You don't have to fix everything all at once. Just begin with this moment, this breath, this awareness, and keep returning to it again and again until one day you realize you're no longer returning to awareness. You're living from it. And the prison, it's long gone. Take a moment. Feel your breath. Feel your body. Feel the stillness that's here right now. Let it soak in, not as an idea, but as a lived truth. You are not your past. You're not your patterns. You're not your pain. You are the presence that holds it all with quiet grace. And if this journey touched something in you, if it helped you see even one small part of yourself more clearly, more gently, more truthfully, then let that matter. Let it be the first of many steps. Let it be a doorway to deeper peace, to new patterns, to a softer relationship with your own mind. And if you feel called, I invite you to stay connected. There are more practices here, more guided meditations, more quiet spaces where we can meet again and keep walking this path together. So subscribe not just to this channel, but to your own unfolding, to your own awakening. Share this with someone who's been carrying too much, someone who's ready to put the weight down. And leave a comment below, not to impress, but to express. What did this bring up for you? What seed are you planting? Because your words may become the mirror someone else needs. We're all in this together. And sometimes just knowing that is enough to